they once worked together a long time ago. They're not friends now. They don't like each other. And yeah, 50 has taken every shot, especially when Diddy has been.
Did Phil explain why he's speaking out now?
He said he's speaking out because he believes Diddy's a predator. He wants accountability, and he doesn't want someone like this to run unchecked.
What happens when the most calculated man in hip-hop loses control of the one thing money can't buy? The truth. For decades, Sean Diddy Combs operated behind a velvet curtain of exclusivity and power, but that curtain was just shredded by his oldest adversary. Curtis 50 Cent Jackson isn't just taking shots anymore. He's reportedly leading a systematic dismantling of Diddy's entire legacy through a high-stakes Netflix documentary. According to public sources, this isn't a mere celebrity beef, it's a quest for accountability. 50 Cent has allegedly transitioned from online trolling to executive producing a narrative that labels Diddy not as a mogul, but as a predator who has gone unchecked for far too long. The tension here is palpable because for the first time in 30 years, Diddy isn't the one directing the cameras.
Out in front of this and, tried to persuade Netflix not to come forward with it. I think it's an interesting argument because what they're claiming is, Curtis Jackson, aka 50 Cent, has had a long-standing, animosity against Diddy and sort of vice versa. And because he's at the helm, they're arguing this can't be taken seriously. This should sort of be seen as propaganda. And one of the things that Netflix hit back with was, yes, he's the executive producer. He doesn't necessarily have creative control, and that's something we.
The sheer magnitude of this fallout hinges on a single devastating element: the buried footage. For years, rumors circulated in the industry about private tapes, recordings that reportedly documented the inner workings of Diddy's most private moments. Allegedly, Diddy was obsessed with his own image, documenting his life for a potential comeback film, never realizing he was essentially building the archive of his own destruction. Sources suggest that a breach of trust within Diddy's inner circle allowed these files to migrate into the hands of 50 Cent's production team. This isn't just old news being rehashed. It is reportedly a collection of raw, unedited moments that capture a side of the mogul the public was never meant to witness. The narrative suggests that while Diddy was meticulously planning his resilience story, someone close to him was allegedly planning a payout, or perhaps a pursuit of justice.
Put his hands on females, put his hands on producers, executives. That's just his. I guess that's what the whole name Bad Boy comes from. That people don't really understand. What is it? What is a bad boy? Why did he choose that name? He never really gave a clear definition of how he feels about.
The legal battle behind the scenes has reportedly reached a boiling point as Diddy's high-priced legal team allegedly attempted to decapitate the project before it could even reach the streaming queue. Their primary strategy? Discrediting the source. Reportedly, the defense argued that because 50 Cent has been a vocal critic for years, the entire documentary should be dismissed as a revenge project or biased propaganda. However, Netflix reportedly pushed back with a surgical legal defense, clarifying that while 50 Cent is the executive producer, he does not have total creative control over the documentary's factual findings. This distinction is crucial. It moves the conversation from a personal beef to a journalistic investigation. Public records suggest the streaming giant is standing its ground, betting that the evidence within the footage is so overwhelming that the messenger's identity no longer matters.
The feelings that I have about the documentary, it was just old news, and they took a couple of with the footage from Puff from the days that's leading up him to get arrested, the incidents with the people from the courts, the two people from the courts. So it was nothing new.
The power dynamic has officially shifted from the boardroom to the cell block. According to reports, the most jarring aspect of this unfolding drama is the location of the viewer. Diddy himself is reportedly forced to witness his legacy being dismantled from the confines of a federal facility. For a man whose entire career was built on the concept of total freedom and absolute control over his surroundings, being reduced to a spectator of his own demise is the ultimate irony. Public commentary suggests that 50 Cent's strategy wasn't just about legal victory, it was about psychological dominance. By timing the release and promotional interviews to air on networks accessible within the prison system, 50 reportedly ensured that Diddy couldn't look away. The narrative has transformed from a mogul success story into what some are calling a digital age public execution, where the weapon isn't a verdict, but the unfiltered lens of his own past actions.
In the unit that was one floor above mine, so in terms of the setting, it's a fairly decent chance that the room I'm describing is similar to where Diddy is. Yeah.
The branding of Bad Boy is currently being re-examined under a much darker light. For decades, the name was synonymous with luxury, rebellion, and chart-topping hits. But according to insiders, the label may have been a literal description rather than a marketing gimmick. Sources suggest that Diddy's alleged history of physical altercations with producers, executives, and women was an open secret within the industry, a bad boy persona that reportedly crossed the line from edgy to intimidating. The documentary reportedly investigates whether the mogul ever provided a true definition for the name, or if the name itself was a shield to hide a pattern of behavior. As the public revisits old interviews, many are questioning if the industry mistook a warning sign for a brand identity. The narrative suggests that 50 Cent is peeling back these layers, forcing the world to ask, was the bad boy movement built on music, or was it built on the silence of those who were too afraid to speak out?
Flight where Diddy said to her, he testified that he showed her a video of a freak-off that she participated in and said, if you don't participate in another freak-off when we get to New York, I'm gonna put this video out. I'm gonna send it to your mother.
And that's coercion.
She testified to that.
If the jury
they believed her, that's coercion. They would have.
The desperation reportedly reached a fever pitch just hours before the documentary went live. According to legal experts, a cease and desist order is often the final Hail Mary when an empire is cornered, and Diddy's team allegedly used it to claim the footage was stolen property. But the irony here is deep. The recordings in question reportedly don't show a mogul in command, but a man in a state of total psychological collapse. Reportedly filmed in the final 6 days before his federal arrest, this footage allegedly captures Diddy pacing, frantic, and reportedly attempting to secure the loyalty of an inner circle that was already dissolving. Sources suggest that these tapes reveal the raw panic of someone who realizes their influence has evaporated. The stolen argument backfired in the court of public opinion, as fans speculated that if the footage weren't damaging, the legal team wouldn't be fighting so hard to bury it.
Look at how many people he affected negatively. That was his trade-off to gain what he had. His former bodyguard, Gene Deal, said he seen him doing a ritual where they dub. What is that? And I feel like it's being overlooked because they see him doing the dance moves with the baggy clothes. You know, some of the ladies in his videos were trans.
The narrative takes a chilling turn when you realize that Diddy was reportedly the architect of his own surveillance. According to reports, the footage captures a side of the mogul that far exceeds the tough boss persona he maintained for decades. Insiders suggest the clips show a man reportedly unraveling under the weight of his own secrets, allegedly using intimidation tactics on his own staff while the walls were closing in. This wasn't a professional meltdown. It was reportedly a glimpse into a lifestyle where loyalty was demanded, not earned. While some critics in his camp have tried to dismiss the documentary as old news, the public reaction suggests otherwise. The spectacle of a man muttering about hiring operatives to handle business while pacing a hotel suite has created a visual record that, reportedly, cannot be erased by PR spin. It's the ultimate paradox. The cameras he hired to document his greatness ended up testifying against his character.
And so what I want to say to Justin Bieber and to everybody that's following the situation is that Justin Bieber is a victim. I was horrified when I saw this, not because of the idea that Justin Bieber would be engaged in these sorts of things at these parties, but because I understood that this was a kid who was intentionally targeted.
The Harlem sanitizer clip has reportedly become the smoking gun for Diddy's perceived lack of authenticity. According to public reactions, the footage captures a moment in his native neighborhood where he allegedly dropped the mask of the People's Mogul. Reportedly, after embracing fans for the cameras, Diddy retreated to his vehicle and demanded hand sanitizer, allegedly stating he needed to take a bath because he had been amongst the people. 50 Cent highlighted this specific moment on Good Morning America, suggesting it reveals a fundamental disregard for the very community that fueled his rise. Simultaneously, the legal tension escalated as Diddy's lawyers reportedly claimed attorney-client privilege was violated. They allegedly argued that the documentary features private strategy sessions, including a clip where Diddy tells his team, "We're losing," which were never intended for public consumption. This collision of a PR disaster and a legal breach has left the bad boy legacy in a state of unprecedented vulnerability.
So the judge, again, seemed to be taking that matter pretty seriously and just pretty much said that, everyone, the judge, the attorneys, the witnesses' attorneys, the accusers' attorneys, they all have to adhere to these professional rules. They all have to adhere to this professional conduct. And if this continues and if more things are said that get onto
The defense of stolen property reportedly hit a massive wall when director Alexandria Stapleton and her team clarified the origin of the tapes. According to the production, this wasn't a heist, it was a legal acquisition of rights. Stapleton's narrative suggests that Diddy's lifelong obsession with documenting his every move backfired in the most spectacular way possible. Reportedly, the man behind the lens for over 2 years, Michael Oberle, wasn't the one who leaked the files. Instead, he pointed toward a deeper betrayal. Reports suggest that during a brief 3-day window when Oberle was out of state, an unnamed individual within Diddy's most trusted inner circle allegedly accessed the hard drives. This person, reportedly driven by either a quest for justice or a massive financial incentive, handed over the keys to the kingdom. The irony is staggering. Diddy reportedly paid for the cameras, the hard drives, and the labor that ultimately provided the rope for his own public undoing.
Collect everybody's phone. So now it's just your word against a billionaire. You're gonna lose. Read this right there.
The narrative takes its most harrowing turn yet, as the documentary allegedly moves from general mismanagement to specific criminal coercion. According to the testimony highlighted in the series, Diddy reportedly utilized his vast personal archive not just for nostalgia, but as a reported tool of intimidation. The footage allegedly supports claims that he would record private encounters, the now infamous freak-offs, and reportedly use those recordings to ensure future compliance. Public sources suggest that one specific victim testified about being shown a video of herself and being told that if she didn't participate in another event in New York, the footage would be sent to her mother. This isn't just a lifestyle choice. Legal experts in the documentary label this as textbook coercion. The irony is chilling. Diddy's obsession with capturing every moment has reportedly provided the exact evidence needed to substantiate claims of a systemic culture of fear and forced participation.
The book Porter allegedly recounts discovering and making copies of the tapes that Diddy made of himself having with young boys that he was managing, including an alleged tape involving an 18-year-old pop.
The mystery of how this high-level security breach occurred reportedly traces back to a 3-day window that changed everything. Michael Oberle, the videographer who had allegedly been Diddy's shadow for 2 years, has publicly clarified that he was not the source of the leak. According to reports, Oberle had hired a third-party freelancer to cover his duties while he was briefly out of state in late 2024. It was during this short lapse in the primary security chain that the treasure trove of data, comprising thousands of hours of raw footage, allegedly migrated. Public sources suggest that Diddy's team is calling this a coordinated theft, claiming that private conversations with attorneys and sensitive legal strategy sessions were ripped from the drives without authorization. However, Netflix and director Alexandria Stapleton have countered by stating they moved heaven and earth to secure the rights legally, implying that the ownership of the physical media, the SD cards and cameras, may have been the legal loophole that allowed 50 Cent's team to acquire the footage. The narrative suggests that while Diddy was paying for a legacy project, he was inadvertently funding the evidence for his own reckoning.
Specifically challenges allegations suggesting that Mr. Combs and his involvement in the 2018 of his former partner Kim Porter, whose passing was officially attributed to natural causes by the Los Angeles County.
The fallout has reportedly reached a point of no return, moving beyond the legal system and into the realm of spiritual and cultural legacy. Gene Deal, a man who spent years protecting the mogul's physical safety, has now stepped forward to dismantle his image. Deal has reportedly made explosive claims about alleged rituals and dark underlying themes within the bad boy camp that the public was too distracted by shiny suits and baggy clothes to notice. According to reports, the documentary suggests that Diddy's rise was built on a series of trade-offs that left a trail of broken lives in its wake. The internet has largely sided with the idea that this is a cosmic correction, a karmic debt being paid in full. As the documentary reaches its climax, it poses a haunting question. In an industry where silence was the most valuable currency, what happens when the vault finally bursts open? Diddy's legal team continues to fight the release, but the court of public opinion has already delivered a verdict. The man who once claimed can't be being forced to watch as the world hits the stop button on his narrative. The shift in the industry's atmosphere is almost palpable, as the once impenetrable wall of silence surrounding these high-level gatherings has reportedly transformed into a flood of litigation. Legal analysts suggest that the sheer volume of 14 police calls to a single residence over 7 years creates a documented timeline that contradicts the image of mere high society celebrations. This isn't just a matter of noise complaints. According to public sources, the descriptions provided by neighbors and first responders paint a picture of guests who appear dazed, disoriented, and in some cases, terrified to leave the premises. This creates a haunting irony for a man who branded his events as the pinnacle of achievement, as those same exclusive gates are now being framed in legal filings as barriers to exit. As the public grapples with these revelations, the focus has broadened to include the bystanders, the major stars and executives who reportedly witnessed the evolution of these events. Public discourse has become a minefield for any celebrity once seen in a vintage photo with the mogul, as the internet now demands to know who knew what and when. This scrutiny has allegedly caused a massive rift in the hip-hop community, with some figures like Ja Rule reportedly labeling the whistleblowing as a betrayal of street codes, while others, like Joe Budden, suggest that the entire system of protection is what truly failed the culture. The narrative suggests that the industry is no longer just looking at one man's actions, but at the complicit silence that reportedly allowed such an environment to flourish for decades. The emotional weight of this fallout is perhaps most visible in the stories of those who were once considered protégés. The reported experiences of artists like Quinnell Q. Mosley offer a chilling perspective on the transition from dream-making to what some call psychological warfare. When a young artist describes waking up in a state of confusion with cameras rolling, it reframes the entire concept of the bad boy mentorship as something far more transactional and, reportedly, much more predatory. The cultural fallout is moving beyond the music, forcing a re-evaluation of the 90s and 2000s era of entertainment. It's a moment of collective realization that the glamour we celebrated might have been the very veil used to hide the trauma of those behind the scenes. Even the family dynamic has become a focal point of this cultural autopsy. The contrast between Janice Combs' current public defense and her own historical comments about beatings and discipline has created a narrative of a cycle that reportedly began long before the first record was ever pressed. Critics suggest that the environment Diddy was raised in, one reportedly filled with high-stakes survival and a lack of traditional boundaries, might have served as the blueprint for the empire he eventually built. This doesn't excuse the alleged actions, but it provides a somber context for how power is learned and subsequently exerted. The tragic element here is the realization that the American dream of a self-made mogul might have been fueled by the very traumas he is now accused of inflicting on others. As we look toward the future of this case, the legal system is reportedly preparing for a marathon, not a sprint. With federal investigations reportedly expanding to include potential trafficking and RICO charges, the stakes have transcended the world of celebrity gossip and entered the realm of historic criminal prosecution. The footage, the testimonies, and the sudden disappearance of loyal friends all point toward a total collapse of the old guard. The era of the untouchable mogul is seemingly over, replaced by a new reality where even the most powerful figures are subject to the lens of their own history. The final question remains, when the music stops and the lights finally come up on the white party, who will be left standing and who will be lost in the ruins of the empire? Everything we thought we knew about the heights of hip-hop success is being rewritten in real time, and the chapters yet to be revealed are reportedly the most explosive of all. The silence that once protected the powerful has been replaced by a roar of accountability that shows no signs of slowing down. As more tapes surface and more voices find their strength, the true cost of the bad boy legacy will finally be tallied. And don't go anywhere. Click the next video you see on your screen for even more juicy celebrity chaos, betrayals, and stories Hollywood doesn't want you to know. See you in the next one.